Hey everyone, this week we are multiplying fractions and we are going to go ahead and get started. So there are three different ways that we can solve these problems. And so I'm going to do number one with you, and then you guys are going to do the rest on your own. But I'm going to show you all three ways, and you can use all three ways to solve each problem, or you can use two, or you can just use one. But the first way that we're going to look at this is the number line way. Okay, so we create a number line, and we have 0 here, and we have 1 here. Okay, so we have 0 to 1, right, because we're dealing with fractions, and we know that fractions without a whole number beside them are less than 1. So I'm going to get started by taking 1/4 and splitting this whole into fourths. So if I do this, I'm going to split evenly into fourths. Here I have 1/4, and then I have 2/4 and 3/4, right? Okay, now I need to find 2/5 of 1/4. Okay, so if I zoom way in on the 1/4, I need to find 2/5. So I'm going to take my blue here, and I'm going to split that 1/4 from here to here into fifths. Okay, and the way I do this is just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now I have 5 pieces. Okay, and I'm going to shade with my green. I'm going to shade 2 of those. I'm going to try to keep the blue there so we can see. Okay, so now when I zoom back out, I now am showing this. I'm showing 2/5 of 1/4, right? Because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces, right, of the fourth, and I've shaded 2 of them. Now, what if I'm trying to figure out what my answer is, right? So instead of just finding 1/4, I need to find 2/5 times 1/4, right? So that means that I need to take this entire whole from here all the way to here, right? Take the entire thing and split it into fifths. Split each fourth into fifths. So when I do this, I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoops. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I know that's not perfect, right? But it doesn't really have to be exactly perfect. You just need to be able to tell that there are 5 pieces in each fourth, each one of them, okay? And so when I do this, now I can see, okay, if there's 5 in this fourth, then there's 5 here, 5 in this one, 5 in this one, correct? So how many do I have total? How many sections do I have total? Well, 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, or 5 times 4 is 20, right? And that's how many I have total. Now, how many do I have shaded out of all 20? Just 2, right? Because I have 1, 2 shaded in out of all 20 pieces, or all 20 sections. Okay, so that's the number line way. Another way to do this would be the area model, right? So we would draw our square out, and then we would have 2/5 on this side and 1/4 on this side. Now, it doesn't really matter which way we go with this. Like, I can put the 2/5 on top and the 1/4 on the side. It doesn't matter. But if I'm looking at this side number for a minute, I'm dealing with rows, right? So my denominator, I'm going to use red for a second. My denominator tells me how many rows I'm going to have total. So if my denominator is 5, then I need to make sure that I make 5 rows, just like this, right? And now I look at my top number, which is 1/4, right? The number sitting on top of the area model. That tells me how many columns I will have, right? So instead of rows, here I'm dealing with columns. And so columns are up and down, rows are side to side, right? So I'm going to write that out for you. Rows are side to side, and columns are up and down. Okay, so if I have a denominator of 4, right, how many columns am I going to have total? 4, right? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 there. And then rows, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I'm going to look at my numerator. I'm going to circle it in green, right? My numerators, okay? So if I look at the 2/5 side, right, the side, or the one that's on the left side of the area model, I have 2 rows out of 5, right? That means that I need to shade 2 rows side to side. Remember, rows are side to side. Shade 2 out of 5, right? So I don't shade all 5 of them. I only shade 2. Then, if I look at my columns, how many columns do I need to shade in looking at my numerator? Just 1, right? Just 1 of them. And I know that my highlighter doesn't really overlap. It just kind of makes it a little hard to see. So I'm going to try to put what they have in common in green. There we go. Okay. So this shows me that I've shaded 2/5 side to side, and then I've shaded 1/4 going down, right? And then what they have in common is this part, right? I'm going to use a red so you can see. So I have 2 pieces, right? So that means my numerator would be 2. Okay, but I have 2 pieces out of how many pieces total? So how many are there total? 20, right? So there's my answer. There's my answer for the number line. Does it match? Absolutely it does, okay? And then the final way that we can solve this problem, I'm going to box it off here for you. The final way that we can solve this problem is to just use the rules method. The rules method means that we set up our problem like this, like a normal multiplication problem, right? And then we use our rules of multiplication to multiply straight across. So we have 2, okay? First of all, we do 2 times 1. We multiply straight across the numerator. 2 times 1 is 2. And then we multiply straight across the denominator. 5 times 4 is 20. That's my final answer, right? And so do all 3 final answers match each other? 2/20. Yeah, they do. So all 3 of these ways are different, but they also are kind of all the same, right? We all get the same answer. Some just take a little bit longer than others, but here's the thing. A lot of us are going to want to use this way, right? The rules method. That's perfect, okay? Because that is the most efficient way to solve the problem. It's quick, it's easy, and it's accurate, right? You just multiply the numerator and then multiply the denominator. So, yes, we want to use that all the time, right? But we have to be careful because on our test or in other times in life, like even reading a tape measure and things like that, we're going to have to know how to do the number line method or how to use the number line to solve for this problem. Or we may have to use the area model to solve this problem, right? So you have to practice all 3 ways, right? We can't just practice one way, right? You can get the correct answer using that one way, but we have to make sure that we are proficient in all 3 ways, right? And so on these problems, I want you to try a different way each time. So for example, I would like for you to do number line on this one, area model on this one, and then you can do the rules method on this one, right? So you can, look, you don't have to follow that exactly the way that I have it written out. You can do these anyway, right? I'm not going to check them like that. Like I'm not going to say, oh, you didn't use number line on number 2. Like I'm not going to check you on that. But I want you to be practicing all 3 ways. So it's totally up to you. You can alternate them like this, or you can do all 3 of them. If you want to do all 3, that's totally fine. You would just do number line, area model, and rules method. You can do that. You can do number line with area model, and that's it. Or you can do like number line and check it with the rules method. Any combination that you want to do that. I just really want you to be practicing all 3 ways at some point on this homework. That way you're completely ready for your test on Friday. All right, and so now for the dojo point. The superhero for this week is Cyborg. Okay, so just write down Cyborg on a sheet of paper with your name on it, and you can give it to your teacher, and we will give you guys a dojo point for watching this video and trying your best in math. I'm proud of you guys. Keep up the good work, and never give up. Always ask questions, all of those things. Guys, we want to help you, and so don't ever hold back a question. Please always come ask us. All right, guys, have a great week.